Good morning, everyone. We'll call this meeting of the House Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee to order. Everyone would sign in to their post, and we'll go ahead and take the roll. Clerk, please take the roll. Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 12 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. This time we'll ask Representative Halsey to lead us in a prayer and a pledge. If everyone will still stand, please stand.
Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for your mercy. I pray you'll give us courage, and I pray you'll give us character, and I pray you'll give us grace. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, at this time, I'll ask for any personal orders. Representative Doggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I've got with me County Commissioner and educator from Lincoln County, Ms. Jenny Rose Walters, and her son Grayson, who is going to be shadowing me today. So please help me welcome them to the chamber.
Representative Bain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also have two individuals shadowing me today. I have Jonah and Sonia Marlin, who are sitting in the back, so please make them feel welcome.
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have Chandler Gilbert visiting from Roane County, south of the river, so let's give him a big welcome.
We have some special guests with us today. This is Outdoor Day on the Hill, and we have some commissioners that are part of that organization I want to recognize. We have Justine Cucchiera, we have Christina Tregelia, Nora Johnson, Jenny Veal, Alaire Brown, Shaquita Parrish, Will Freeman, Mary Caitlin Price, Cameron Snow, Allie Williamson, Emma Owsley, Blair Beatty, Horace Tipton, and Isabella Mucci. Want to thank them for all the work they've done to put this together. And at this time, members, without objection, we're going to go out of session to hear from Deputy Commissioner Brian Clifford, just real quick on the Outdoor Day on the Hill. Without objection, we're out of session.
Did you not see my hand?
Mr. Clifford, you are recognized.
Did you not see my hand?
Thank you. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members. Today is Outdoors Day on the Hill, and we are very excited to be with you today. Your leadership and investments into Tennessee's outdoor spaces are paying off tremendously. You have something on your desk, and I'll call your attention to some of the figures that I'll speak to here in just a second.
Don't touch
But I
me.
wanted to
Go sit
note
down. You're out of order.
Governor Lee's statement that investing in the outdoors is one of the smartest choices we can make as a state, both economically and for the quality of life. If you look at some of the figures we're seeing in outdoors economic impact, this latest year, $15.6 billion in economic impact. And that's noteworthy because that's a 20% increase year over year. So when we talk about your investments and what that's doing for the state of Tennessee, we're seeing it directly in a year over year comparison of 20% increase. And we thank you for that. What you'll also see is a 10% increase in the amount of jobs. We're up to 114,000 jobs that are supported through outdoor recreation. When we look at the wages going directly into our citizens' homes, that's $6.2 billion going to our citizens, to their households. That's an increase of 17% in wages and incomes for your constituents, and we thank you for that. And then finally, for state tax generation through sales tax primarily, we're seeing $1.4 billion coming to your general fund through outdoor recreation. We have here today Justine Cucchiera, our Director of Outdoor Recreation for the state of Tennessee, presenting you with a check for $1.4 billion representing what that means for the general fund through outdoor recreation. We're very proud of this figure, and we cannot do this without you and your investments, and we can't do this without, or we can't do it as well without the Tennessee Outdoor Partnership, which is a major collaboration between multiple state agencies and private partners. And what we've been able to do is break down silos across state government to be more effective and multiply the efforts that you all are providing through your investments. So it's never been a greater time for outdoors in Tennessee, and we are so proud to partner with all of you, and we thank you for your partnership.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. We appreciate you being here with us today. Without objection, we'll go back into session. We are now in session, and without any further announcements, let's take care of a couple of housekeeping issues first off. Without objection, item number 1, House Bill 1510 will be rolled to the heel of today's calendar. Item number 7, House Bill 2322 will be taken off notice. And item number 8, House Bill 2396 will be taken off notice without objection. Members, first on our calendar, we have item number 2, House Bill 2534 by Representative Darby. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Do we have Representative Darby?
Right here.
There he is. Thank you, sir. Missed you.
Thank you,
You're
Mr.
recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an administrative bill that aligns TDEC's environmental appeal statutes with the requirements set forth in the Uniform Administrative Procedures Act and makes 2 other minor changes to better streamline appeals. This legislation amends the time for administrative judges to issue initial orders in department contested case hearings from 60 to 90 days in accordance with the Uniform Administrative Procedures Act, amends the time to appeal an initial order from 30 days to 15 days in accordance with the UAPA, eliminates the boards to vote to review an initial order when no party appeals, and changes that in the case of hazardous waste appeals, the judge shall hear the case in the department's environmental field office region where the facility or site is located instead of the county, because a lot of counties does not have TDEC offices. And Mr. Chairman, if I could add one more thing, this legislation does not change the time period in which a respondent can appeal a TDEC order. That remains 30 days.
Okay. Any members have any questions for our sponsor? Seeing no questions, if you're ready to vote, we'll be voting on House Bill 2534 to send it to Government Operations Committee. Clerk, please open the vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 15 ayes, 0 nays.
And House Bill 2534 moves on to Government Operations Committee. Next, we have House Bill 2375 by Representative Doggett. We have a motion and a second. Representative Doggett, you are recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the GIFT Act, the Greenbelt Initiative Fund Transfer Act. It establishes a rural revenue equity fund and appropriates $210 million one time out of the general fund to do this. Now, what is the GIFT Act? The GIFT Act is a way, it is a good way for us to find additional revenue for our rural counties. When we began this journey, I did several years ago, looking at ways to get additional monies back to rural counties. It was all based off of population. Anytime that there was a excess of state revenue, a surplus, that is the way that we had to approach it, was off of that. But as I mentioned earlier, my guest here, Ms. Jenny Rowles-Walter, is with us. Her and Mr. Thomas Burnham and my county executive, Graham Stowe, came together and worked out a plan, this proposal that I present before you today, that bases it off of the total Greenbelt acreage of these counties, which makes it more competitive for rural counties to get additional revenue. I mentioned in the subcommittee that there was a TASER study from 2009, but I did not expand upon what that TASER study actually said. They were visiting the Greenbelt as we currently have it, which is a fantastic tool for those that are in agriculture or forestry. But with the TASER study, one of the key findings that they said in there was the effect of the Greenbelt program on local property tax base varies extensively from county to county, significantly reducing the tax base in many counties and likely causing a combination of higher property tax rates and taxes on those property owners that do not actually enjoy the Greenbelt valuations. And so when we look at Greenbelt, Mr. Chairman, that is on land. Land is assessed on use value rather than that of market value. So when you go to counties that I have here, Fayette County, 78% of their total acreage is in Greenbelt. Hardeman County, 81.9. Giles County, where I live, 84.8. Lincoln County, 86.3. Gibson County, 79.3. Lawrence County, 77%. Weakley County, 81.6. Haywood County, 82.5. These are rural counties that a vast, overwhelming majority of the total acreage in their county is in Greenbelt status. And Greenbelt, again, is a fantastic tool. But what this bill does, it sets up a scoring rubric for counties that can apply to this fund to help offset some of those lost revenue that they would see in property tax. A lot of these counties, when they try to raise property tax, it ends up coming back on the residential owners, end up bearing a larger burden of that. And it's hard to produce the types of things that we need in our counties with infrastructure and public safety and education. And so I'm hoping that we can move this bill forward. I think this is a great step for rural Tennessee, and it's a brilliant way to help offset some of those shortfalls that we've had in our rural communities.
Representative Doggett, we show an amendment for this bill. Can you confirm that?
I will confirm it.
Drafting code 14221.
Motion on the amendment. Second.
Yes, sir, that's it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Any objection? Without objection, if you're willing to put this amendment on, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The amendment goes on the bill, and I'm assuming you described the bill as amended.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Representative Shaw?
If he described it, I'm fine. I won't even describe the amendment. That's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I did
You're
leave
recognized.
one part out.
Okay.
That was on that amendment. It prioritizes counties that have 70% or more of their total Greenbelt or total acreage that is in Greenbelt. So they would be prioritized as a part of this scoring rubric.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, if you're willing to, ready to vote, we'll be voting on House Bill 3375 as amended. Clerk, please open the vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 15 ayes, 0 nays.
And House Bill 3375 moves on to the Finance Committee. We have item number 4, House Bill 1786 by Representative Littleton. We have a motion. We have a second. Representative Littleton, you are recognized on 1786.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1786 addresses an issue that we're having in the state of Tennessee regarding boat mooring. House Bill 1786 gives the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency the authority to cite boats that have been anchored for more than 14 days in one spot.
Representative Littleton, I show an amendment for this bill. Do you have the drafting code?
I do. 14562.
That's what we have. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor of adding this amendment, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment goes on the bill. Any further comments?
No.
Okay, any questions for our sponsor? Representative Holsey.
I'm sorry, Chairman Littleton, I'm not on the subcommittee, so I didn't hear the arguments for this. What's wrong with a boat staying in one place for 2 weeks?
Representative Littleton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. They're anchoring their boats in front of houses, leading to complications between the boat owner and property owners, but also other people that want to come in and anchor their boat for a little while. They don't have a place because they're sitting there empty these boats are sitting there for over 14 days. So it's keeping other people from being able to use the pier.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I too, like Chairman Hosey, I had that same question the other day, and Chairman Todd and I were discussing this, I guess it was last week. And my thoughts were, if you're on the side of the state highway and you leave your vehicle there for a couple of days, I can guarantee you're going to have to go find out where it was towed to. And that's kind of the way I look at the waterways. Just because you want to leave your boat there in a public waterway does not give you the right to leave it there in a dock in the middle of the lake. And that's kind of the way I come to the conclusion to support this bill, Chairman Halsey.
Representative Littleton, you follow up?
No, I just agree with everything he said, Mr. Chairman. That's why I don't park my car on the side of the highway. You see those little tags every time you go by that says, you know, you have a certain amount of time to remove your car. So we feel the same way about the boats, so other boats can come in and park as well.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, clerk, please open the vote for House Bill 1786. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 12 ayes, 2 nays, 1 present not voting.
House Bill 1786 moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Next, we have House Bill 2205. It's number 5 on our calendar. Do I have a motion? We have a motion. We have a second. Representative Kiesling, you are recognized on 2205.
Thank you, Chairman, and no amendments on this one. Let me get over here to it. Bear with me a moment. This one was brought to us by to Senator Yeager and I from our friends at the Upper Cumberland Development District. If it passes, the bill would ensure that the rural communities are not left behind when it comes to water infrastructure. Well, what do we mean? What is the definition of a rural county? That's a population that's under 57,000. Now, the bill directs the Department of Environment Conservation to include water system projects located in rural communities on the priority list for consideration under the state's water revolving fund program. Let me highlight what those current projects are, and this would be added to it. 1 would be drinking water upgrades, 2 wastewater improvements, 3 system modernizations, and 4 infrastructure replacement. So with that, this would be, we would be adding to this. So many of our small and rural communities, as you all know, struggle to finance water infrastructure improvements. And even though these systems are critical for public health and economic development, simply put, the bill gives rural communities an opportunity to be more competitive. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will entertain any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments for our sponsor? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, we'll be voting on House Bill 2205. Clerk, please open the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 15 ayes, 0 nays.
House Bill 2205 moves on to calendar and rules. Members, without objection, we're going to roll item number 6, 9 spaces. We're on item number 9 by Representative Capley. House Bill 2499. We have a motion and a second. Representative Capley, you're recognized, and we do see an amendment.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, did you say you do have an amendment?
Yes, sir.
Got it somewhere. What you got there, Mr. Chairman?
15338.
Yes, sir.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Any objection to calling the question on that? Without objection, we'll be voting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment goes on the bill. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, with this amendment, it rewrites the bill to authorize a person to possess a raccoon without the payment of a $150 possession permit fee. Still have to get the permit, just don't have to pay the $150.
Okay. Any questions or comments for our sponsor? Seeing none, we do have someone that has asked to testify on this bill. And so without objection, we will go out of session and hear from Ms. Megan Frazier. So without objection, we're out of session. If Ms. Frazier would come forward, we'll get you a spot in a microphone. You will have 3 minutes. Just identify yourself, who you're with, and tell us what you want us to hear, please. You're recognized.
Good morning, Chairman Todd, committee members, and Representative Capley. My name is Megan Frazier. I'm here today to speak on behalf of the Tennessee Veterinary Medical Association. And really, my purpose in being here today is just to urge some discretion and caution when citizens might be considering having a raccoon as a pet. Raccoons are, of course, a primary wild reservoir for rabies, which means rabies is continuously circulating in raccoon populations. And it's not, for raccoons, it's not rare or in isolated cases. When raccoon rabies is established in a region, raccoons account for a significant share of animal rabies cases, making them one of the highest risk wildlife species for exposing people and domestic animals. Rabies is nearly 100% fatal when symptoms appear in humans and animals. So any bite, scratch, or saliva contact from a raccoon must be treated as a medical emergency that often requires a full course of post-exposure shots for everyone involved. The bill before you attempts to reduce that risk by allowing only captively bred raccoons, not wild-caught raccoons, and we appreciate that intent. However, from a rabies and zoonotic disease standpoint, a raccoon born in a cage is still a rabies vector species with the same biology and capacity to carry and transmit rabies as a raccoon born in the woods. There is still no rabies vaccine licensed for raccoons so any bite from a captively bred raccoon could trigger the same public health response. Keeping raccoons as pets can bring high-risk vector species directly into your home. We just urge caution as the public may consider having a rabies vector species introduced to their home. And thank you for the time today. We just wanted to urge caution as we move forward in this endeavor. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Any questions for our sponsor? Chairman Martin, you're recognized.
Yeah, I was just being interrupted. I was trying to speak. Ms. Frazier, I have a question. I know that I can have a dead raccoon in my house as a hat. So we're talking about a live raccoon here. And my question is, have there been other states that have implemented this type of bill? You seem to have caution that if you have these raccoons that are born or bred in cages or whatever, they're not in the wild, that you're concerned about that. So my question is, do you know of places where they have other states that have allowed a bill like the one Representative Capley's bringing, and what has happened to the rabies population with regard to these raccoons?
Ms. Frazier.
I apologize, Representative Martin. I am not knowledgeable in that area.
Thank you.
Representative Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ms. Frazier, appreciate your insight into this. I would say, living in a rural area, rabies is always a challenge. I know periodically that TWRA, working with the Department of Agriculture, does aerial drops of prevention medication or some type of pellets to prevent rabies. How often are we doing that now in Tennessee? And what are we spending to eradicate rabies in raccoons specifically in Tennessee? Would you have any idea?
Ms. Frazier.
I'm sorry. That would be a question for the TWRA, I believe, as to what the cost is. And I believe they do it once a year. But again, that's more of a TWRA question.
Thank you for your attempt. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your time. Appreciate you being here. We'll go back into session without objection. We are back in session. We're back on the bill as amended. We have Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is already a practice that we have here in Tennessee. You just have to pay a fee for the license. Is that correct?
Representative Capley.
Yes, sir.
Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this amendment just takes off the $150 fee and leaves it as the status quo.
Representative Capley.
My apologies. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir. That's correct.
Representative Grills.
I think he answered my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, we'll be voting on House Bill 2499 as amended. Clerk, please open the board. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 13 ayes, 1 nay, 1 present not voting.
House Bill 2499 is approved and moves on to calendar and rules. Next, we have number 10, House Bill 1259 by Representative Capley. Do I have a motion? We have a motion second, sir. You are recognized on 1259, and there is an amendment.
Sir, I have 014507, Mr. Chairman.
That's what we have. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. If you wish to put that on,
Yes, sir.
committee, if you're willing to put that amendment on, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment goes on the bill. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members. We all know that lead poisoning is dangerous to our communities, and we know that old pipes leach lead into our drinking water. America is trying to remove all lead pipes by 2037. As many of you know, the Trump administration has dedicated $15 billion to replace dangerous and outdated pipes in our water systems. Tennessee utility districts can qualify for up to $202 million of these funds for replacement through 2027. In Tennessee, currently, utility districts can only service water lines up to the meter box of the private property. This federal grant requires the districts to replace the water line all the way up to the building. So what this bill does is it says if the homeowner gives the utility district permission, that they can go all the way up to the building.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Sponsor, how would, is this for homes or building, commercial buildings?
Representative Capley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This would be for homes, sir.
Representative Shaw.
How would I apply for the grant if I wanted to run the line all the way up to my house?
Representative Capley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my understanding you'd go through your local utility district, sir.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you.
Representative Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Sponsor, I appreciate this bill and I support it. I think it's good legislation, but I do have one question. Is it the intent of this legislation to apply to all water districts in the state, all water systems, municipal, utility, and those regulated by PUC?
Representative Capley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Representative Vital.
Thank you. And with that, the intent of this bill for the sake of health and safety and the lead lines that we have and galvanized lines downstream replaced as possible, just as long as the private property owner consents. Is that correct?
Representative Capley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I understand that the reason we're doing this is for federal grants and to be able to utilize those federal grants. Is this in any way going to cause a more burden for a utility district that does not get a federal grant? Will they have to then bear the burden to fix what before this legislation passed was a personal issue or a private issue?
Representative Capley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no further questions or comments, if you're ready to vote, we'll be voting on House Bill 1259. Clerk, please open the vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 15 ayes, 0 nays.
And House Bill 1259 is approved to go into calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee.
Next, we have item number 11, House Bill 1825 by Representative Jones. We have a motion, a second. Representative Jones, you are recognized on 1825.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill increases honey production from 150 gallons to 835 gallons, and the annual amount of honey that can be sold by a honey producer without being subject to the food manufacturing and inspection requirements. This is a bill to support local honey producers, and it improves the economic opportunity while maintaining consumer safety.
Any questions or comments for our sponsor? Representative Alexander.
Thank you for bringing this to us. I've always considered you a sweet friend, and now I really do.
Thank you. That's okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote on House Bill 1825, clerk, please open the vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 15 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you, sir. And House Bill 1825 is approved and moves on to calendar and rules. Next, we have House Resolution 168 by Representative Jones as well. I have a motion and a second. Representative Jones, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What this does is that HR 168 recognizes the importance of the Department of Agriculture and TWRA collaborating on research to recommend policy relative to the fur farming and Class 3 wildlife. At this point, there is really no regulation or understanding on which agency would be regulating that. And so this resolution just asks for research to do that.
Okay. Do you have any questions or comments for our sponsor? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote on House Resolution 168, clerk, please open the vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chair, you have 15 ayes, 0 nays.
House Resolution 168 moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman and committee.
Next, we have House Bill 1289 by Representative Powell. We have a motion and a second. Representative Powell, you're recognized, and I do see an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, drafting code 15366.
That's what we have. Would you like to put that on?
Yes, sir.
Without objection, and I need a motion and a second. We have a motion, we have a second on that amendment. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment goes on the bill. You're recognized on the bill as amended, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill, HB 1289, is known as the Alyssa Lockett Safety Act. Before I explain the bill, I want to take a moment to acknowledge why we are here. On October 14, 2024, Dr. Alyssa Lockett was murdered while walking on Mill Creek Greenway in Nashville, in my district. She was a beloved member of our community. She was a scientist, an avid runner, and her death was a tragedy that should never have happened. Her family included her brother, Sean Lockett, and sister-in-law, Abby Lockett, courageously turned tragedy into triumph by founding a nonprofit, Free to Move, to carry her legacy forward. They couldn't be here today, but were able to testify in the Senate committee the week before last. And this bill is for Alyssa. And it also is for every Tennessean who wants to feel safe in our public spaces and greenways. As amended, the bill would have TDEC, along with Department of Safety and local governments, to work to address a comprehensive strategy addressing park design, lighting, maintenance, signage, surveillance, programming, and public involvement. All we're trying to do here is make sure that we have standards in place for parks and greenways so that our citizens feel safe and have a dedicated comprehensive safety plan that locals and state can look to as guidance, not a mandate, but just guidance. With that, I would answer any questions the committee has.
Any questions, comments for our sponsor? Representative Halsey.
Thank you. Thank you for the bill. Can you tie the absence of those types of things to the result of this tragedy?
Representative Powell.
Yes, sir. So for example, this greenway had a lot of overgrown vegetations when you go through the different paths. And since they have trimmed back some of the vegetation, one of the things they've also done, this would be a consideration, not a mandate, but placing more markers. So when there is a tragedy, if they call emergency, they can get there faster. Oftentimes when you're in Parker Greenway, specifically on greenways, you might be at a certain mile marker and not know. So if emergency was to respond, there's a delay there. Another factor is they've added call box. Again, this isn't a mandate, just all things to look at. Plus to try to make our parks and greenways more accessible so more people are out there using them. Because we know a lot of times these tragedies occur in isolation. So the more people that are out enjoying, the safer we all are.
I would have one thing I noticed here. We do have a fiscal note of $350,000. So if it's permissive, can you explain how that fiscal note gets on there?
Sure. Apparently, they feel like there would need to be some sort of a consultant to work this. I'm still working on that fiscal note. If I can get this out of the committee, try to make sure that this can be done in-house. I don't know why it couldn't be, because we have resources to do that, but that's why that was there.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote on House Bill 1289 as amended, clerk, please open the vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 11 ayes, 3 nays.
House Bill 1289 as amended moves on to finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next, we have item number 14, House Bill 2252 by Representative Grills. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Representative Grills, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment as well. I have drafting code 014253.
That's what we have. We have a motion. We have a second on the amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Amendment goes on the bill. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several months ago, I had some different calls with producers and Tennessee pork producers, Tennessee Cattlemen Farm Bureau, and some other industry partners about how we could do a better job of helping promote the livestock and the products that are raised here in Tennessee. And this bill would create a voluntary Tennessee meat labeling and promotion program for livestock products produced here in the state, bred, born, and butchered here in Tennessee. That way they can carry a label that says it's volunteer verified or something of that nature. But the goal is to help local producers living in this state that do a really good job of providing protein for our economy, that they would be able to say that this was guaranteed to always be a Tennessee product. And that's what the goal of this legislation is.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for our sponsor? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, we'll be voting on House Bill 2252 as amended. Clerk, please open the vote. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 15 ayes, 0 nays.
And House Bill 2252 as amended moves on to Government Operations Committee.
Item 15, House Bill 2516 by Chairman Todd. Got a motion, got a second. We do have a subcommittee amendment on the bill that we need to attach. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Okay. Chairman Todd, your code, please.
15848.
Yes, sir. You want to, if there are no objections, we will go ahead and put this amendment onto the bill. All those in favor signed by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill is properly before us. Chairman Todd, please explain your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a policy of this state to plan for sufficient landfill capacity for waste not recycled or recovered. Region plans must identify where waste will be disposed of and managed for 10 years. And so this bill comes out of a task force that was authorized last year to look at our issues around solid waste in this state. And so this bill requires that region plans must be updated and resubmitted to the department at least every 10 years. Each region to submit a new or revised plan to the department by July 1st of 2028. And the department is to notify the regions whether or not the plan includes all of the required information within 30 days of submission. It requires the region to provide any missing information within 60 days of notification of an incomplete plan. Several other factors here, but those are the main components, and I would move adoption.
Thank you. Are there any questions to the committee?
Previous question.
No, there's no questions, see no further questions, we're ready to vote. Open the vote, please. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Vice Chair, you have 13 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present not voting.
House Bill 2516 moves on to calendar and rules. Item number 16, House Bill 2517 by Chairman Todd.
Motion. Second.
Chairman Todd, you have a motion and a second. Please present your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 2517 updates the Tennessee animal health law to align with USDA disease classifications and clarifies the state's authority to require testing or vaccinations to detect and control animal diseases. The bill adds definitions to Tennessee law for 2 categories of diseases: monitored diseases and notifiable diseases. It clarifies that state officials may recommend tests or vaccinations for animals in Tennessee or animals entering our state. And then they also may order tests or vaccinations when necessary to detect or treat monitored or notifiable diseases. We've had members in the past raise concern about the level of authority that our state vet has, and they've never exercised. And I think those are legitimate concerns, and this helps address some of those. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I move adoption.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the committee? Representative Halsey.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I was one of the ones that felt farmers needed some due process protection against a state agency that can come on their property at will and order this or that, or order you to vaccinate, what vaccine to use in order to kill half your herd if they want to, and then be responsible for burying. And all I'm asking is, does this tip the scale a little bit more in the favor of due process than we had before?
Chairman.
In my opinion, it does, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Representative Shaw.
Thank you. I just want to ask the sponsor, where is this in the Senate?
We will have to check. I think it passed.
Okay. Okay.
We're
Thank
double
you.
checking. That committee closed and it passed in the Senate.
It passed in the
Yes, sir.
Senate, Representative Shaw.
Okay.
Seeing no other questions, are we ready for the vote? I'm sorry. Oh, Representative Bain.
Thank you. Just two follow-up questions. So under this bill, if a novel disease, one not yet on the notifiable list, begins spreading through Tennessee livestock, what authority does the commissioner have to respond before it's formally classified?
Representative, Chairman Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that question. I actually don't know the answer to that. That may be something that we could pose to the department in the future. That's something that's already in place. This doesn't change that.
Okay.
Representative Bain.
And then how long would it typically take for a disease to be added to the notifiable disease list at the state level? I guess that'll be clarified later on.
Chairman Todd.
I would think so. I don't have the answer to that. That's not, this doesn't address that timing at all.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, Chairman Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And there are rules promulgated under this law, and so those will address the items, I believe, that have been asked.
No other questions, no objection. Clerk, open the vote. Has every member voted? Somebody wish to change their vote? Clerk, take the vote, please.
Mr. Vice Chair, you have 10 ayes, 3 nays.
House Bill 2517 moves to counting rules. Item number 17, 2518 by Chairman Todd. Got a motion, got a second? We have a subcommittee amendment on this bill that needs to be attached. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Got a second? Chairman Todd, please give us the draft code.
15028.
Yes, sir. If there's no objection, we will go ahead and put this amendment onto the bill. All those in favor, sign by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. Bill is properly before us. Chairman Todd, please explain your bill.
This is another that has come out of the task force that I sat on, and this bill strengthens the Office of Cooperative Marketing for Recyclables within TDEC. It modernizes this office by housing a recyclable materials marketplace inside the office, and that office will maintain information on recyclable supply in order to connect materials with industries that can use them. The bill strengthens TDEC's role by improving internal coordination and transparency in the statewide recyclables marketplace, and a new advisory council will assist TDEC in developing this marketplace. And it does create this recycling market development and division, Diversion Advisory Council. We've got to come up with an acronym for that or something. This bill creates a public-private advocacy council that is made up of industry members, recycling professionals, state agencies, legislators, and local government representatives. With that, I move adoption.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Seeing no questions? No further, Representative French.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sponsor, for bringing this bill. I think it's a really good idea. Just one quick question. Is there going to be any opportunity for this to promulgate a rule or make a requirement that has an industry or a cost on industry to execute the recommendations?
Chairman Todd.
Thank you for that question. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are no new regulatory authorities given. No taxes, no fees are included in this. Does not regulate solid waste disposal, and it relies on existing state resources within TDEC.
Representative French, good. Any other questions? Seeing no questions, no objection. Clerk, open the vote. Has everyone voted? Does anyone want to change their vote? Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Vice Chair, you have 14 ayes, 0 nays.
House B 2518 moves on to finance.
And now we're back on item number 6, House Bill 2202 by Representative Kiesling. We have a motion. We have a second. Representative Kiesling, you are properly before us.
Thank you, Chairman. Now, Chairman, last week, we put on amendment. So that's there. I mean, do I need to go?
We do need to adopt that. I want to
We
verify
do need to
the
adopt that.
number.
Okay, that would be drafting. Oh, let me get over here. Let me get you a drafting code here. How about 015840, 015840, Mr. Chairman?
That does correspond with what we have. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment goes on the bill. So, Mr. Chairman, we have we have another amendment by me, but at this time, we have discovered that there is a technical error in that amendment, and so I would not want to move that forward. So you are recognized on the bill as amended.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Appreciate it too. I want to begin with subcommittee chair and members from last week. I do appreciate the opportunity that you allowed me to speak to you last week. So to you, the full committee, allow me to explain briefly, and I'm going to be brief, to just why I'm here today. And I'd like to highlight some of the discussion from last week to bring you in the loop. Now, I hope that each one of you may have taken the time to review last week's committee. Maybe, maybe not. But we'll begin with in 1968, the General Assembly enacted the Tennessee Scenic Rivers Act. During the 87th General Assembly, our Tennessee Senate passed Senate Joint Resolution 109, which was directing our Department of Conservation to study and report its recommendations to the preservation and protection of the Big South Fork. That ultimately led Congress to authorize the Big South Fork National River and recreational area. And that I want to just highlight just what does that mean to Scott County and surrounding areas. According to the, the 2025 National Park Service report, last week it was noted 740,000. Actually, according to this report and the numbers that I have here, 780,000 visitors visited Big South Fork Park, and that was in calendar year 24, spending $28 million. So just imagine what that means to a small rural county and its surrounding neighbors there. So for more than 50 years, Tennessee and United States has recognized Big South Fork as a resource of unique and irreplaceable value to us, our state. House Bill 2202 before you today is a continuation of that legacy. As amended, it adds the Big South Fork of the Cumberland River and the entire segment of that river in Scott County to the list of a Class 2 pastoral river area under TCA 11-13-104. It then specifies that the landfill is not permitted within the entirety of the territory of a county in which two rivers, and that's very important, the two rivers join to form the Class 2 that flows through a national river and recreational area, and upon crossing the border of that county, which actually enters into the territory of a neighboring state. It further explains that these subsections do not apply to the operation, modification, or expansion of any landfill which is presently in operation on the day of the act that could become law on 1 of January this year, 26. To my left, in front of you, I have many of my close friends from Scott County, including Mayor Dennis Jeffers of Huntsville, who testified in front of you last week. I'm grateful for the local support that I've had on this bill from every elected body in Scott County. County Commission, towns of Oneida, Huntsville, and Winfield, as well as the Chamber of Commerce there in Scott County. While I personally do not own property in Scott, I must point out that neither does Trans Railway Services, the company interested in this second proposed landfill. As noted by testimony by TDEC in testimony in last week's subcommittee, the permit owned by this company has multiple delinquencies before its permit can be rectified. Additionally, state regulations to ensure safety and water quality have changed substantially since its original permit was applied for, and you heard that in last week, many of you. I want to stress to all at this point that this is not an anti-landfill bill. Scott County already has a functioning landfill, and we're mighty proud of it. It's doing a great job there for us. It has right now a life expectancy of 24 years remaining from that day forward, provided it's on the same tonnage, daily tonnage that it currently is on. Is there after that 24th year or toward that 24th year, is there concern about expansion? No. The current landfill, the current owner has additional, I think, 700 acres. So it's reported to me. This bill is also not anti-agriculture in any way. In fact, if you look at the definition of a Class 2 designation in TCA 11-13-103, it's designed for and allows for agriculture activity. All this bill does is to protect the Big South Fork, one of Tennessee's most pristine natural waterways and a federally designated national river and recreational area. Every one of you, every one, has been lobbied to death on this one. Give me a smile. Maybe even give me an amen. So I know I've been there and I've sat in your seats on other different bills like this. I know what you've went through. In closing, now I'm just going to close it down, Chairman, right now. Here we go. In closing, this isn't political, nor is this a ploy to protect the existing landfill owner, the current landfill owner operating in Scott County. This is fundamentally about local control. Well, now hush, don't say that. We don't want to be out of order here, but it's about local control. The people of Scott County, through every available democratic mechanism, have made their will unmistakably clear that state legislation, however, is required and that I'm honored to bring this bill on behalf of my constituents. I ask for a favorable vote. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll conclude and I'll entertain and humbly ask for any questions that I might be able to answer. I hope I can answer some.
Thank you, Representative.
There's
We
a
do
lot
have,
of, go ahead.
we
I'm
do have a
sorry.
couple of folks here to testify.
Sure.
So without objection, we will go out of session to hear from those. We are out of session. First, we're going to hear from Ms. Jennifer Shockley. Shockley, if you would just approach one of the microphones, we'll get it turned on and let us know who you are. If you represent any entity, and then you will have 3 minutes to give us your testimony.
Thank you. My name is Jennifer Shockley. I'm from Scott County, and I'm president of Cumberland Clear. I want to talk about one thing today, the Big South Fork River. In 1974, the Big South Fork Cumberland River was authorized by the United States Congress as the first designated national river and recreation area. Approximately 116,000 acres is currently owned by the Department of the Interior, enclosing over 244 miles of streams. In December, the National Park Service wrote a formal letter to TDEC, raising serious concern about a proposed landfill and waste by rail project. The Big South Fork is one of the last large free-flowing rivers in the entire Southeast. It is home to 13 federally protected aquatic species, some of the most imperiled populations left anywhere in the entire Cumberland River system. Bear Creek is specifically identified as a critical corridor for those species. Big South Fork Cumberland River is a Tier 3 stream. This is the highest level of protection that Tennessee law provides. The proposed Roberta II landfill sits less than 7/10 of a mile from the east branch of Bear Creek. This is a tributary of Bear Creek that flows directly into the Big South Fork Cumberland River. The ARAP application for this project, the developer seeks to permanently destroy streams and wetlands. This is a Tier 6 destruction, the most impactful category of destruction under the Tennessee permitting framework. There are over 25 streams reported in this application. These are not merely ditches. These are jurisdictional waters of the United States feeding the Bear Creek watershed. Destroy them upstream and you degrade everything downstream. Filtration, temperature regulation, spawning habitat, all of it flows to Bear Creek and into the Big South Fork. The National Park Service flagged something else that should alarm this committee. The original permit described a no discharge facility, meaning nothing leaves the site. This is not what is being built. The current plan replaces actual streams running beneath the landfill footprint with Fritz drains, which take a natural living stream and reroute it to run through an underground culvert directly beneath millions of tons of garbage and empty straight into the tributaries of Bear Creek. 7/10 of a mile away.
Ms. Shockley?
Yes, ma'am.
That is 3 minutes. Members have Representative Grills on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of questions. And the group that you represent was what?
It's Cumberland Clear, sir.
Okay, Cumberland Clear.
Mhm.
You're talking, there's a current landfill that's already in existence.
That's correct.
And then there's an effort to bring another one in there.
Mhm.
Would your group support with the effort of trying to protect the river to go ahead and shutting that one down? Because obviously, is that what?
Ms. Shockley?
The one that's currently running?
We support our current landfill. We understand that our solid waste has to go somewhere. And as a resident of Scott County, I know that we're proud of having that facility and the jobs that it presents to our county. And we're also proud that we're able to provide assistance for our neighboring counties to bring their solid waste there as well.
Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was my understanding last week, we learned that these two property lines, they joined up to each other. And how is it that this new one would be if this new landfill were to come and start working and, become a functioning landfill, that it would somehow contaminate the river, but the current landfill would not? But yet you're okay to leave it open, but you don't want to see the new one?
Ms. Shockley.
It's our understanding that TDEC is responsible for making sure that landfills are operated correctly and that they protect the
Absolutely.
streams and the waterways. Our concern with this project, which is completely different than where Volunteer Regional was sited, is Volunteer Regional, when it was developed, it was not on top of 25 different streams, multiple wetlands, and a spring-fed pond. So this is about a location that is very dangerous because of our geology there. And, landfill liners leak. It's just science. So if you place a landfill literally on top of a wetland and streams and put a French drain below it, then when those liners do leak, it's going to go straight into that water. That's our concern, sir.
Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But you just said, and you agreed, though, that the property lines butt up to each other.
That's correct.
I don't understand how one side of the property line is safe, but yet the other side is not. That doesn't seem to reconcile in my head. I'm going to ask this question, though. In order of, to harmonize, so you and I can get on the same page, maybe even the committee, would you agree that it would probably be best if we were to have annual sampling by TDEC along the river to protect it, not just from what may come, but what is already there, so we can make sure that the river stays in pristine shape?
Ms. Shockley.
Is this not something that TDEC already does?
Representative Grills.
I'm not certain, but I would agree. I think you and I are on the same page here that the more whenever we have the more sampling and more opportunity to find out if there's something in the water, it would be good. And if we're going to try to protect the river, we ought to do away with, this is not something I'm recommending, but this is something, if we're going to try to protect the river in every instance, we ought to shut down everything then. Just shut down wastewater plants from being able to discharge in the river. If that's the ultimate goal, I don't think it's necessarily the ultimate goal of you guys, but I would agree that science, TDEC, and industry now have really brought forward some awesome opportunities with liners, with protections, and the different things that we have at our disposal now. So I would just I'd be very cautious to say that we don't want anything in our community going forward.
Any other comments for our guest or questions? Ms. Shockley, Representative Vidal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here. Tell me a little bit about your efforts to work with the economic development of this county, which has experienced boom to bust over the last 75 years from the losses of the coal industry and other impacts of forestry, and how the national river status has helped this county survive, and how this would
Representative
impact
Vidal,
that. Thank you.
That's really not part of this bill. This is dealing with not the economics of the area. Can you tailor that more to what the bill addresses?
Yeah. Let me rephrase that. Do you think that this additional landfill and expansion would be compatible with the growth of this county and its future existence?
Ms. Shockley.
No, sir, we do not. Our county has spent the last 20 years truly pursuing tourism, and we are just now starting to see the true, fruits of that labor. So to turn our entire county into, a landfill for the entire state of Tennessee, obviously, tourists are not going to want to see that. We're not talking about the multiple trucks that are already on our roadways that we do deal with. We're talking about trains of trash coming in from across the entire state. So obviously, this is a much larger project than what we currently have, and there are genuine concerns on how that will affect our tourism industry in our county.
Representative Vidal.
Thank you for that answer.
Thank you for your assistance here today. And next on our list, we have Mallory Kirby. If you would approach. Ms. Kirby, just let us know who you're with, and you'll have 3 minutes. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Mallory Kirby, representing the National Waste and Recycling Association, Tennessee chapter. I have with me today Katie Evans, also with the association, and I'm going to let her present our testimony today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Katie Evans. I'm with the National Waste and Recycling Association. The National Waste and Recycling Association is the leading voice of the private sector when it comes to the waste and recycling industry. We represent landfill operators, recycling facility haulers, and other sectors within the industry and with it touches it. Just to give you a little bit of impact of what my industry and how we touch members, in 2024, the average employee numbers, we employed over 12,000 Tennesseans for jobs in our industry. And also our total annual wages neared $940 million with the wages that we were provided. While we're sympathetic to the sponsor's need to respond to his constituents, our association opposes this bill for several reasons. The Scenic River Act was intended to maintain a proper balance between reservoirs and free-flowing rivers to provide, therefore, a desirable variety of scenic, recreational, and other values. This act was never intended to be used as a way to stop landfills or to deprive landowners of using their land for development, landfill or otherwise. In fact, this landfill does not even fall within the 2-mile buffer that is currently included in the Scenic River Act, which is also significantly greater than the landfill buffer for a river in any other state that I am aware of. Since the 90s, Tennessee law has included numerous tools in which local governments can prohibit solid waste facilities. First, the local governments are authorized to establish zoning requirements that can indicate where certain types of development can and cannot go. Second, the Jackson Law allows local government that opt in to determine whether a landfill will be allowed in their jurisdiction. And thirdly, the Solid Waste Region Board for the Municipal Solid Waste Planning Region must be approved or denied an application for a landfill based upon whether the proposed facility is consistent with their solid waste plan. I'm not aware of any other state with this many available avenues for local approval. Today's landfills are also subject to stringent engineering and buffer requirements that prevent negative impact to water and air quality. Additionally, the TDEC commissioner is given broad authority to revoke, terminate, or modify any permit that it issues. This use of the Scenic River Act to stop a landfill will undermine the procedures that have been in place for many years, as well as the integrity of the industry and of the members that we represent. As the committee has heard many times, economically, solid waste management is a growing concern in Tennessee. With Senator Reeves' leadership, a task force was established last year to study the solid waste and recycling system in Tennessee and make recommendations for a meaningful reform. Additionally, the committee will consider another bill today that would take a deeper dive into the state's recycling landscape, which I think you guys have already reviewed. The passage of this bill would be a step backwards to continue the troublesome precedent of weaponizing the Scenic River Act against solid waste projects.
Ma'am, that's 3 minutes.
Yep.
We do have at least one question for you. Representative Halsey, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want you to know that the sponsor of this bill is a personal friend of mine and has been my whole career down here. Means a great deal to me, so I'm a little biased in his corner. But there are some things that trouble me about this. It seems like the Scenic River institution was designed for a specific river or for a specific purpose. Am I reading this bill right? Because he is the chairman, the sponsor, he's exactly right. People come into my office for the last 4 weeks and talked about scenic rivers, and my position was, I don't care. You know, it's your river. Do what you want to it. It doesn't matter. But of course, stupid dumb me, and not knowing all the facts, I should have known there's a whole lot more clinging on around all this than what I thought about just keeping water clean in the river. Am I looking at this correctly? The way the bill's written, this really isn't confined to rivers. It looks to me like the whole county is trying to have a tent over it and under the river, clean river thing, but make the whole county exempt from a landfill that's coming in. Am I reading that right?
Ms. Kirby?
Yes, that is correct. This bill would prohibit a landfill, another landfill in the entire county going forward.
Okay.
Representative Halsey?
Thank you. Your industry up where I live, Tennessee Eastman, has kind of pioneered the ability to reduce plastics, glass, metal, paper down to its original molecular structure and turn out brand new, clean, pristine products out of it. Is this recycling, as I understand this company that's looking about going in there is recycling, not so much solid waste? Is that a correct statement?
Representative Halsey, that's really not part of this bill.
Okay.
So if you can tailor it more toward what the bill is directed to, sir.
Okay. Chairman, can I ask questions about the issue of a landfill going in and how far that has progressed?
Yes, sir.
As far as TDEC goes and those kinds of things?
It's definitely directed. Yes, sir.
It is my understanding, and I don't know this to be true. Like I say, I've had so many people in my office, my head is so cluttered up with this. I don't know what's factual and what isn't anymore. Is it true that the proposed landfill that the county's worried about, has there been investments in property already? This is a big deal to me. If somebody has invested legally, financially in a piece of property, and now the state's considering coming in and changing the rules after this investment.
Ms. Kirby, I know we heard testimony in subcommittee, and you're welcome to summarize that at this moment if you want to.
Sure. And just to clarify, we do not represent the project that's being proposed, so I don't want to speak to their details. But yes, my understanding is that there has been investments made and that the permit process has been ongoing for a while now. And that is really our primary concern with this legislation, is that if we do this here and we continue this precedent, that this will lead us down to a path where anytime our members, or it could be any other type of project in the future, wants to propose a facility, because it's a very lengthy process. So it takes several years to go through the whole process, that if we continue down this road, when our members want a new facility or an expansion, that that this will just continue to happen, where the Scenic Rivers Act will be utilized to do that instead of the regulatory mechanisms that are in place with the permitting requirements that TDEC has. I know there's been a lot of talk about the ARAP requirements. This project will need to meet those requirements, and we're not saying that they shouldn't have to, but we are just concerned about using this mechanism as the way to stop this project and any other projects that going forward using this mechanism.
Representative Halsey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is TDEC going to testify? And I apologize for all this because I wasn't in subcommittee and I'm way behind the curve. Is TDEC going to?
They are on the list and available if you'd like for them to be.
I would
Okay.
actually, but you don't have to do it right now. But I would.
Any other? I think have Representative Bain on the list for these guests.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The landfill apologist showed up to tell us that Tennessee should keep its doors wide open for everyone else's trash. And you're dressing it up, talking about it as economic development and regulatory certainty, but you all want Tennessee to become the landfill state. You want Scott County to become a dumping ground. And if you were really pro-business, then you'd be supporting other legislation like Senator Campbell's Waste to Jobs Act, which would turn real economic opportunity for Tennessee communities into development. And I want to commend the folks from Scott County. Thank you, thank you, thank you for leveraging every mechanism of democracy to be here today. And you get something that the waste industry will never get, which is the Big South Fork is not just a line item on a balance sheet. The waste industry doesn't want that. And it is where your kids swim. It is where your families fish. It is where you raise generations. And you all said, not here, not today. And I'm very grateful. What I want to know from you all is, why aren't you supporting bills actively that reduce waste, put people to work, and actually build something in these communities like the Waste to Jobs Act? And why are you spending your time fighting the residents of Scott County instead of backing this type of innovation? If your whole business model depends on Tennessee never saying no more to trash, then that is not our problem to fix. That's yours.
Representative Bain, that Waste to Welfare Act doesn't have anything to do with this bill. Ms. Kirby, you're welcome to answer anything you want to there.
Our industry is supportive of improving recycling in the state, and we are happy to collaborate with other industry stakeholders in finding mechanisms that can actually do that and actually have the intended outcomes. So we are collaborating with stakeholders and working on that, and have been since our chapter has existed here.
Thank you, Representative Bain. One follow-up.
Follow-up question, but particularly with this landfill, if it doesn't fall within the 2-mile limit, then why are you opposed to it?
Ms. Kirby?
Because this bill would prevent any landfill going forward in the whole county, not just within the 2-mile limit. This bill expands that and covers the entire county.
Thank you for that clarification. And Representative Halsey had asked for the Department of Environment and Conservation. So if they would come up, we appreciate you ladies being here. We will see what questions he has for you.
Do we not get questions on this?
Ms. Williamson, I'll start with you, and if you will maybe, I guess we'll let Representative Halsey ask his question. That may be the best thing, and then you can determine who best to answer that. Representative Halsey?
Thank you. I've heard several different sides of presentations on TDEC's permit for this particular location at this particular county. And some have said that this is an ongoing permit that's valid, that it's been in existence and has been updated one person told me 6 months, another told me a year, and that it costs money to do that each time it's updated. I've been told that. And then I've been told by others, no, it's not a valid permit. It's expired. It is not, it's not current, and therefore it would not apply in this case. My question is, I wrestle a great deal internally with somebody who has put money into a plan, and if this permits part of that plan and costs money, I have real problems with if we're going to shift the playing field here after these kinds of things have been done. So my question is there a valid permit? Has it been valid all along? Is it valid right now? If somebody wanted to build using that permit, could they do so?
Ms. Williamson?
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Allie Williamson. I'm the Legislative Director for Department of Environment Conservation. Representative Halsey, there are 2 divisions that are permitting this landfill right now. And I'm going to let our Deputy General Counsel, Stephanie Derman, go ahead and take that and help explain where both of those permits stand right now.
Thank you, Ms. Derman. You're recognized.
Good morning. Thank you for the question. I think part of the confusion is there are in fact 2 different permits. So I'm going to start with the actual landfill permit. It was issued, the Roberta II landfill was issued a Class 2 landfill permit 16 years ago. They have paid the fees and maintained that permit. But because they did not start construction within 1 year, they have to come back to TDEC to be recertified. So there is a process for recertification. My understanding is that the current project proponent purchased the permit from the prior landowner. I know that they paid money for the permit. And I understand from the testimony they gave last week, that they've obviously had to pay consultants for the application for the landfill permit, for the recertification that's currently pending at TDEC. So that's the first permit. The second permit is the Aquatic Resource Alteration Permit, or ARAP. That permit has a 5-year term. So they did have an ARAP, but it expired because it's been, 16 years. So they have applied for a new ARAP. I have to assume that they spent money to put that application together. That new ARAP is currently under consideration in the Division of Water Resources.
Representative Halsey.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was said earlier in some of the testimony that this landfill was going to be built on top of wetlands. And it was going to contaminate the waters, X, Y, or Z. Are any of these claims factual?
Ms. Thurman.
I'll go ahead and take a stab at that, and maybe Director Grippo can add on. My understanding is there is in fact a stream underneath the landfill that they're asking to alter. That is the primary nature of what they're requesting in the Aquatic Resource Alteration Permit. So in order for them to get the permit, we will have had to have made a determination that doing so would not cause a condition of pollution. That's a prerequisite under the Water Quality Control Act. We haven't made that determination yet. That is still, under consideration.
Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the process, the rules by which this process started were in place. And the company that bought the property or is buying the property assumed that they would work under these rules. And if we change the law today or in a few weeks, will that be changing the rules for them? And they will then have to work under a different set of laws after essentially changing the rules after the game has started?
Ms. Thurman.
Yes, this would be effectively a prohibition on their Class 2 landfill. So that would be a change, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for your time today. And I'll kind of follow my friend from Upper East Tennessee's question a little bit, and with a hypothetical example, and then ask y'all's guidance because you understand this process much better than I do. But if I were to go buy 1,000 rounds of a new caliber of ammunition for a rifle for which I had not purchased yet, in the hopes of purchasing that rifle, and was unable to secure the purchase, I would think I have a sunk cost in that 1,000 rounds of exotic ammo. How does that apply? And does that apply in the scenario of bringing in a landfill? Is there a consideration for those who might want to bring that industry in, that they have some potential for a sunk cost by their initial investment before the property is procured?
Ms. Thurman.
I'm not sure I fully understand your question, but they have a due process right attached to their property interest in the permit itself, although they have not yet purchased the land. So the money that they've expended to maintain purchase the permit, maintain the permit, and apply for recertification is a true cost to them.
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one follow-up. So with the due process that it's in that, if they have what I've referred to as perhaps a sunk cost, is there an opportunity for them to get any of that money back if the eventual sale of the property does not become final?
Ms. Thurman.
Are you asking if they could sue the state for takings? They could. Okay. If they have spent that money in order to get a Class 2 permit and they don't get a Class 2 permit, obviously they would not realize the economic gain from that permit.
Representative Martin.
My question is this: you had mentioned about the waters that I believe that are would be where this is. Is there a precedent where y'all in previous experience have redirected waters around, I don't know, roads or developments?
Ms. Grippo?
Hi, April Grippo, Director of Water Resources for TDEC. There is a way to permit those if there's no practical alternative to that, to moving that stream, and they've been able to demonstrate that. In this case, we're still in communication with the applicant, and they have not yet satisfied our requirements for no practical alternative.
Representative Martin?
And so if they were able to put whatever their business they're wanting to put there, it is a possibility, and that y'all would require them to move that stream, and that would be just part of the cost of doing business, I presume.
Let me clarify. The department, and certainly not the Division of Water Resources, would not require that. The applicant is coming to us with the proposal of they're asking for the ability to to relocate a stream to accommodate the landfill. And so that would be the item that's under consideration right now.
Good. Thank you.
And we appreciate you being here. I know we've got more questions and comments, and we will have some for our sponsor, but we're up against a hard stop. So thank you for being here. Without objection, we'll go back into session. We are back in session. And at this point, folks, we've got another committee coming in here. We're going to have to roll this a week and all remaining bills on the calendar till the next calendar. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Without objection, we are adjourned.